So I used to hang out at the park back when I was like my previous video, back when I was like 18 or so. Also, I think I got the timeline a little wrong. I think I was closer to like 21 because it was right before my last girlfriend. So I was like early 20s. But anyways, this is before that. So this is probably actually when I was like 19, 20-ish. This current thing when I would hang out with homeless people. So this is when I was like doing a lot of drugs, like a lot of bad stuff, really, really bad stuff. And yeah, I really hit the ground running when I turned 18. I did a lot of shit. I should be dead, honestly. I don't know why I'm not dead. Um, praise Allah, Allah Akbar. No, praise God. I should be dead, honestly. No Allah Akbar here. But yeah, dude, I used to hang out with these fucking homeless people at the park, and I don't know. I just thought about this because like whenever I hear people talking about like how they feel about the homeless and helping the homeless, and like they're just down on their luck, and they're just like, you could end up like them any day. You miss one paycheck and you're just like them. You're just like them. And every time I hear that, I always think of my experience actually hanging out with homeless people. Like I'll get super fucked up, and I would drive downtown with my guitar, and I go out to the park, and I would just like get into these like retarded adventures with these bums. And this happened like, I don't know, a number of times. Like it wasn't a lot. Maybe it was under 10 times that I did this. And so yeah, it started out, I go there, there's this dude named Josh, I think. And I remember he had this big thing on his neck. It started up here as like this big bulb, not bulb, but like giant bulge coming out. Almost looked like a bulb, I guess, like a small light bulb, and it would run down his neck all the way down to here, like a major vein. So it was all the way down, like it was fucked, man. And he took my hand. He's like, Rob, feel this, and he grabbed my hand and pulled it. He's like, feel this right here. What do you think that is? I'm like I don't fucking know. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, well, that's so weird. And he's like, that's that's a thing that the doctors installed in me because I get fluid that builds up in my brain and it drains down through here. And I'm like, okay, that's wild, man. And he was like the most normal out of all of them, but there was still something like severely off. Like you could tell there was like some disconnect in his eyes. There was something wrong. But he was like the rational one, which is kind of fucked up. I found out later through somebody else that he like shot up Mountain Dew into his neck or something. I don't know. That's what I heard from another homeless person, is that he would shoot Mountain Dew into his neck, and he had like a bunch of shit here or something. Like he fucked the vein up badly. So I don't know which one's true, but that's just what I heard from somebody else, which I wouldn't doubt. So there's that, and then there's another character there, and his name was Tree. He was covered in tattoos from like head to toe. Just got out of prison, in and out of prison all the time, and he didn't say a word. Like it felt like I was in a cartoon, like Ed, Ed and Eddie or something, like some fucked up weird cartoon. But this dude named Tree, and so he was head to toe tattoos, and he had this harmonica, and he played terribly. And every time I would talk to somebody, like I'd play guitar, and he'd just like blow random notes and shit. Whenever I'd stop, he would get like mad. He would get really mad at me, and he would just stare really intensely while I'm talking. And so I'd be saying, yeah, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like asking me stuff. And then Tree would be like, he's like, hey, hey. He's like, you're doing too much of this. You're not doing enough of this. I need more of this. I'm like, all right, all right. I'm like, I'll play. And I start, and I play and then stop again. And he'd get fucking mad, dude. He's like, what the fuck? He wouldn't even talk. He would just get mad, point at me, and like, just do that. I'm like, all right, I'll play guitar. Sorry. And then there's another character there, and this guy was like fucked. He was like the worst out of all of them, like really mentally unstable. I think his name was like John or something. And he would start out in a good mood, and he would always say this to me. And he would like go on and on about, he's like, you need to look up my history. Look up, I wrote I wrote this book. It's called My Dog Skippy. I wrote My Dog Skippy. I wrote it in second grade, and I won an award for it. And the teacher said it was the best story out of all of them, and I got 5 stars for it. And he was just like, he would say these super intricate details about this fucking story, My Dog Skippy. And he said, I wrote it in second grade. And it was like the best story ever. And they made a movie out of it. And that motherfucker stole it from me. And he made a movie out of it. And I need to sue him to get the money back because that's my fucking movie. And so, yeah, he would just go on about My Dog Skippy. And then he would go from that to like really violent, like out of nowhere. And so he would rant about My Dog Skippy. And then out of nowhere, he'd be like, he's like, he start like punching the air. He's like, that was my fucking, they stole it from me. And he'd like start jumping around and he was like trying to get up to me and he's like, like trying to fight me. I'm like, whoa, dude. And then Josh would get between us. He's like, hey man, stop. He's our friend, dude. Stop. And he's like, yeah, but he's not believing my story. I'm like, I believe your story, dude. I believe it. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. And fucking, I don't know. He like literally, it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. He like, he like just jumped. He like jumped up in the air and landed on the ground, and he started fucking hitting the ground as hard as he could. He was like fighting with the floor. He was just like punching, like bam, 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 and like just mad, like yelling and stuff. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm like, Josh, I need to get out of here. I think this is actually the last time I went there. This specific instance of this stuff happening. Um, I'm like, Josh, I'm like, I'm uncomfortable. I need to go, dude. I think I'm gonna get like fucking killed out here or something. Like something's gonna happen. And he's like, oh, it's all right, man. Don't worry about it. Nobody's gonna hurt you out here. I got the situation under control. I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I should probably go home. And so I'm like, all right, guys, see you later. Bye, Tree. Bye, Josh. Bye. This weird band of fucking just bums. Also, there's another one. I forgot his name, but he smelled like piss all the time. Oh, dude, there's another one. He had the weirdest body. Like he actually looked like a cartoon character. This guy, I forgot his name. But he had this like droopy like dog face, and I think he would like not wear a shirt, but his stomach was like this, like out really far, and he would like walk like this when he come up. He would walk like that everywhere, and he just like had this like weird shaped body where it was like that out, and he would just like waddle everywhere, and he came waddling up towards the end, and that was a new character. And then his friend was like this old guy, and they would talk about how cool this old guy was. Like, yo, man, he's the fucking shit. He's so cool, dude. And they like sat me down to talk to this guy, and he just like smelled like piss. He was just like this, he was just this old bum that smelled like piss. He had nothing to say. The man like had absolutely nothing cool about him, nothing redeeming. It was just like this old dude that smelled like urine. And they're like, yeah, dude, he's like a fucking legend around here. He's like so fucking cool, dude. And I'm like, hey, man, nice to finally meet you, you know? Like, I'm meeting like a fucking like legend, bro. He's like the local bum hero. And this guy, he's just like sipping on a Bud Light, and he's like, yeah, hell yeah. Just like had nothing. I'm like, man, this is crazy. What am I doing? What am I doing with my life? And so, yeah, after My Dog Skippy, and he's yelling out as I was leaving. Once I said I'm uncomfortable, I'm gonna go. He's like, "Hey, you better check it out. My Dog Skippy, blah 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 blah, whatever his name was. Look it up, you." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna look it up." He's like, "I don't believe you. You better look it up." I'm like, "Bro, I'm gonna look it up." And we're like yelling like half a mile away. I'm like trying to get to my car, got my guitar in this hand, and yeah, I'm like, I need to get out of here. And the whole way to my car, fucking yelling back and forth, like, "Yeah, I'm gonna check it out." I don't know. He just looked like he was having a bad day or something. And I was like, do you need like a ride somewhere? I think his tire popped or some shit. I'm like, do you need help or something? He's like, yeah, man, I'm just trying to get home. My tire popped. I didn't even realize he was homeless. Like, I was just trying to be a nice person. I did not even know he was a bum. And so, I'm like, all right, man, that's fine, you know. And I just figured I was gonna pick him up in my car and drive him to the place. This time I was actually a teenager in like high school. And so I picked him up into my car, and I didn't realize he was going to take his whole bike and like shove it into the trunk of my car, but he did. I just figured like we leave the bike somewhere, and he was like a normal person who'd come back and get it. But it turned out he was homeless. I didn't realize that. And he smelled horrible, dude. Oh my God. As soon as I smelled him, I'm like, oh fuck. I made a terrible mistake. I thought this was just an old man. This guy, again, smelled like urine, straight up piss, covered in dirt and stuff. I'm like, how didn't I realize this? I'm like, what am I, retarded? And so this fucking bum shoves his bike into my car, into the back of the trunk, and then he gets into the passenger seat. And I was so young and naive, I didn't even think about like what could happen to a person, you know? Like you can get like murdered or something, like a random bum in your car. That's crazy. And so we were driving, and I'm like, so which house is yours? And we're like, looking out, and we're getting close to my neighborhood. And he's like, yeah, just keep going, keep going. And I'm like looking around, and I know this neighborhood that we're driving through. I'm like, I don't think this guy lives here. And he's like, take a right here. So we went right down there. And in between these two houses is a big lot. He's like, all right, stop here. I'm like, here? He's like, yep, this is it right here. And then he hopped out and fucking grabbed his bike and just ran into the woods. I'm like, okay, he's actually genuinely homeless. That's when I learned that homeless people were a thing. Uh, so yeah, needless to say, I took a lot of I had hand sanitizer on my car. Like I shot it everywhere, all over the windows, in the car seat, fucking everywhere, into the trunk. I coated everything in isopropyl alcohol. I'm like, wow, that was disgusting. um, so yeah, what I'm trying to say here, homeless people are not like you and me. Mostly they're just like crazy, like drugged up, or brain broken people. Um, I hate this argument of people saying like, oh man, they're just like people down on their luck, dude. They're just like totally normal. It's like you're one paycheck away. You're one paycheck away from being homeless, just like them. So these people traditionally would be like in an insane asylum. All of those people from the story that I told in the beginning there, all those people were on drugs, either street drugs or they were prescribed narcotics or antipsychotics or antidepressants by county provided psychologists or whatever, psychiatrists. So yeah, these people should not be in society. they're unstable and violent, a lot of them. I do acknowledge there are people that end up down on their luck and homeless and that kind of thing. Obviously it's real, but I'm saying like the people who are chronically homeless that you see for years on end, just roaming around parks and stuff or sleeping under bridges, those people usually want to be homeless or literally cannot adapt to real life. Like they're incapable. Because I know the one guy that I know for a fact was on antipsychotics. He would like make these little palm frond flower things and like just hand them out to people. Um, he was on major antipsychotics, and he was arrested like once a week for violent incidences. Like he would just get loud and angry and start fights with people and shit. So I think he assaulted a woman one time. And yeah, we got to stop treating these people like they're just like you and me. So that this is why we're seeing more people randomly get murdered at parks and fucking get stabbed in the neck on buses and trains, and acid attacks. There's a stabbing in Florida at Barnes and Noble by some random fucking bum. Murdered a woman Christmas shopping. These are the people. And they can be funny. At least the ones I met were funny. They were characters, but they're not adjusted for society. Just be aware that this is how how it is. These people are fucked up, and you can't just like put them into a house and suddenly they're just like, hey man, you're family now. You're just like me. Now that you're in a house, originally you were houseless, and now you have a house. Therefore, you're totally part of society, right? Since we've changed the terminology from homeless to houseless, now you're not houseless. Now you're just a normal tax-paying citizen. Shut the fuck up.